know the music and you know the drill. Take a seat, grab some extra serviettes for all the food to come. My name is Chris, and I will be your server this week for another bonus food episode, our 5th. This week, a special offer. You can take your audio here or Togo. You're listening to 2233, a podcast of Exchange Stories.
So one thing I learned that, body language can change in cultures, not only the language, but kind of a lighter note was I was going to get pizza locally and I wanted chicken and I didn't speak Bulgarian, but my Bulgarian friends were like, oh, this will be interesting to see this Kentucky kid order. I'm like, I was trying to get creative, and so I just made a sound that a chicken makes. And they still didn't understand me. And then my Bulgarian friend said, oh, this is how chicken sounds in Bulgarian. I'm like, oh, even the animal sounds are different. And so sometimes you've got to be creative. Other times you just got to be happy with the pizza you get.
This week, why do all the American takeout places have the name of my country? Asked the guy from Togo. 3 words: deep fried Twinkies. And halushki, the Slovakian dumpling experience. Join us on a journey around the world to tickle your taste buds. It's 2233.
We report what happens in the United States, warts and all.
These exchanges shaped who I am.
When you get to know these people, they're not quite like you read about them. They are people very much like ourselves.
Oh, that's what we call cultural exchange. Ooh, yes.
The first time that I ate from Bob Evans, I was surprised to see a bag Togo, home to go, and I said, come on, people eat my country here because it is home to go. It's to go, but it is written Togo, just like my country. I said, come on. And people were laughing. It's just, I was joking, And also I found a tea here, which is Tazo. It is Tazo. Which is the name of one of my best friends back in Togo. And I said, come on, this is cannibalism. People drink my friend here. And it was just a coincidence. I even took a picture of that tea and sent it back to my friend. And he called back and laughed, He was surprised. This is, I like it.
Working in Kazakhstan, immediately before my Fulbright, I learned that if you have a guest that you want to show extra respect to, they'll take like the head of a sheep and boil it, and then that person has to cut off pieces and serve it. So like, for instance, if I am the one that's carving the head, I might give you an ear and tell you that I wish that people hear and take to heart what you have to say. Or I might give you a tongue so that you speak softly. For an American, like the first time that I ever saw that, it was really jarring just to see like a boiled head. And I remember like my boss at the time, when she visited, my colleagues and friends of ours did it for her husband, and we knew that it was going to happen, and I was telling them, like, you can't do this, it's going to be off-putting for Americans. And I specifically came over to help them cook, and they hid it from me like in a pot on the back of the stove, and I didn't know. And he was a good sport about it, her husband was, but it's still off-putting to see like a giant boiled head.
I love potatoes and I love doughy things. and that is Slovak food. It's sausages and potatoes and dumplings. So many different kinds of dumplings that have never heard of. When I asked my students when I first got to Slovakia, what do you suggest I see or do? I think teenagers are always like this. They're like, I don't really care for my home. So they were usually like, I don't even know why you're here in Slovakia. But they would, when pushed, they would say, you should see the Tatras, the mountains, and you should make sure to enjoy some halushki, which is their dumplings. So I enjoyed a lot of halushki, and I went hiking a lot. So I did everything they suggested. They also like their castles there. Big fans of their castles.
Most people probably don't realize is the importance of food in Ukrainian culture. The famine, 1932-33, caused by Stalin, was just a horrific time in their culture. I'm sure that the importance of food certainly, I don't know if it stems from that, but it certainly focuses. I think somewhere in the Ukrainian psyche, it rests, which makes food really important. But they do know how to enjoy food, and they really know how to enjoy eating. And I think Ukrainian food is the best food in the world. And I'm sure the listeners are going, oh yeah? And I'll tell you, oh yeah, you got to try it. Now, I'm not saying try it in the United States. I'm saying go to Kiev and try it in Kiev. It's a tad bit different. I'm fortunate in that my lovely daughter-in-law, her mom is probably one of the best cooks I've ever met in my life. We always go to the village. We bring our sons, Ben and Dan. Ben is known for his eating. Very thin guy, but really eating. So he really impresses them in the village by the amount of food he can consume, which makes you godlike in a Ukrainian mother's eyes. So I've seen Ben sitting there with piles of chicken wings in front of him. And let me tell you, that the chickens and such, when you go to the village, you talk about free range. No, these chickens they're just running around. I refer to it as, oh, you want chicken tonight? You point at that chicken, and the next thing you know, people go, oh, it's not frozen? I go, and it's never been refrigerated. The chicken is really fresh. And because they romp around, they are descended from dinosaurs, as you can tell by their size. So a chicken wing in Ukraine is like an entire chicken you would pick up from a rotisserie in a grocery store here. So when Oksana's mom sees the pile of chicken wings in front of Ben, it's just an incredible experience for her. As I said, he's super thin, but even Ben has to unbutton his pants and then go lie down for a while and then come back for more.
I think a lot of Arab food has become more popular in recent years here in America, so it was interesting seeing like the real authentic hummus and falafel and shawarma and things like that. But I'm of Indian American background, and so I tend to eat spicier foods, and going to Jordan, there is not a lot of spicy food. So I remember coming back from Jordan and having my mom's food again. It was way too spicy for me after my palate had adjusted. In terms of like going out to different restaurants and things, it always felt like an adventure because I'd have to, plan what I was going to say and try not to mess up, but and always asking whoever was speaking to speak shuai slowly so I could understand. Definitely something that comes to mind is actually a Yemeni restaurant called Bab El Yemen, and the owner was very friendly, and there were these gigantic pieces of bread. Yemeni bread is really famous for that, and it's kind of charred and huge and takes up half the table, and so definitely that type of finger food plus the Yemeni curry was really interesting. But what was more special is that the owner of the restaurant would come and talk to us, and we spoke to him in Arabic and told him what we were studying, and then a few minutes later, after he waited at some other tables, he'd come back and ask us to practice his English. So it was definitely opportunities like that. But one time my host mom made us chicken liver, and it was the first time I had chicken liver. And unfortunately, usually all of her cooking, I devour it, but chicken liver, we didn't mesh well together. But and a Jordanian phrase that people say when a meal is exceptionally delicious is Ya Allah Shuzaki, which means, oh God, what deliciousness. And I said it pretty much after every meal.
It was a great opportunity to see the small traditions, like for example, like marshmallow and what is it called? The s'mores. Yeah, so that was the first experience. I loved it. So even when I went back home, I took some chocolate with me and the crackers, and I made some for my family back at home and some of my friends. It was a great experience. And even when we ever have like some campfires with the local community, with some friends, we always like, that's one of the main things on the list.
In Central Asia, like if you're in a coffee shop or something and there are brownies on the menu, I discovered pretty quickly that Nasiba loved them and always wanted to order them, but I was always disappointed because they don't quite understand the difference between like a brownie and chocolate cake. Theirs, to me, read more cakey than fudgy. And so I promised her I would teach her how to make real brownies. And so first I had to teach myself to do it completely from scratch because there's nothing like box mix over there. But then once I succeeded, I showed her. And now that's like the only kind of brownie she'll eat. She won't let anyone order them in a restaurant because it's not authentic enough. So that was always really funny to me, like especially on her birthday. Like she didn't want cake, she just wanted a brownie. At midnight on her birthday, I made a big pan of them and we put candles in them.
Okay, so I was told that I just have to try deep fried Twinkie because that's like Midwest thing. And I did try. I tried deep fried Twinkie and I tried deep fried Oreo cookies. So, oh yeah, man, you love deep fried things. It's like deep fried pickles. That's what I tried as well. It sounded better than it tasted. It was just, hot pickle. But I've tried it all. In general, I do miss Eastern European food, and I miss some very basic things, I'd say. So I tried to look for them. I went to Polish store in Hamtramck where I got a couple of things that I missed. In summer, back at home for 3 months, so I made a deal with myself. I'm gonna eat a lot, everything that I missed for the last 9 months. But I've tried. I'm trying to try. I really love banana bread. This is something that I want to take, back. I knew about it before, but it's really good here, and you make really good here. Banana bread. That's my thing here.
I ate something here. As I told you, pumpkin bread. I know pumpkin. We can find pumpkin in our country, but I never knew it could be possible to make any bread with it. Moreover, it is very sweet. I did like it. I was, I liked that one.
love food. And I feel part of exploring the culture is exploring the food. So for example, whenever I travel, I try to look what's the most popular dish in that area. With the globalization, lots of things became like popular everywhere, but still you can find like some unique plates. One of the things that I loved was in Chicago. When I visited Chicago during Thanksgiving, we've seen the parade, and then we went and had the pizza, the deep dish. That was unique, and I'm amazed how this hasn't been like spread all around the world until now. That was one of the best dishes I ever tried. We went there for a few days, and we're like, what are we going to eat? We kept having it over and over. We were not bored of it, and it was so special. What else? There are Texas barbecue. That was also one of the best things. Now I'm getting hungry, remembering all these things.
"2233" is produced by the Collaboratory, an initiative within the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, better known as ECA. My name's Christopher Wurst. I'm the director of the Collaboratory. 2233 is named for Title 22, Chapter 33 of the U.S. Code, the statute that created ECA. And our stories come from participants of U.S. government-funded international exchange programs. In this episode, our taste buds were tempted by Hodabolu Anate, Anna Zubitska, Alyssa Meyer, Annie Erling-Gofus, Richie Mathis, Mark Pollins, Minu Bushanan, and Doreen Tadros. We thank them for their stories and their courage to try all of these new things. For more about ECA exchanges, check out eca.state.gov. And we encourage you to subscribe to 2233 because really, where else are you going to get your bonus food episodes? And we'd love to hear from you. You can write to us at ecacollaboratory@state.gov. In fact, you can send us your favorite food stories at ecacollaboratory@state.gov. Complete episode transcripts can also be found at our webpage at eca.state.gov/2233. Special thanks to everybody for the courage to try the food and the courage to tell their story. Featured music during this segment was Variation Waldheim by Blue Dot Sessions. The music at the top of each food episode is Monkeys Spinning Monkeys by Kevin MacLeod, and the end credit music is Two Pianos by Tagir Lius. Until next time,